Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Aynesworth. We're going to go into mastery number 2 on graphing sine and cosine functions. Okay, we're not ready to do tangent and all the 3 reciprocal functions, and that will come later. So this is just a simple mastery on just sine and cosine only. Time goal is less than or equal to 4 minutes. 10 points in the test category. And as stated up in the directions here, mastery is achieved when you complete everything under 4 minutes with 100% accuracy. Okay, so pay attention to the directions, and with all masteries, you may attempt this as many times as needed, but if you don't get it the first time, well, guess what? You got to go outside of class and see me outside of class to make additional attempts. All axes have to be labeled properly in radians, and at least 5 points must be plotted, so here we go. And again, our time goal is 4 minutes, so less than or equal to 4 minutes. All right, and the time starts. Okay, so here we go. So the domain of sine and cosine is a set of reals. There's no restrictions. Okay, the range. Okay, the max is, max is, or the min to max, it goes from -1 to 1. All right, as inequalities, if you want to use inequalities, you go -1 less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 1. So you have to scale the axes. So I'm going to go up 1 unit. So I know where 1/2 is. You can scale the axes however you like, but I usually go up 2 units and label it 1 just to spread things out so I can see things better. Then I go out 8 units, right? Divide it up into 4 equal parts. So go out to 2 pi, and then half of 2 pi is pi, and half of a pi is pi halves. And then you count by pi halves. So 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves. So you start labeling right there, and then you go for it. Sine of 0, okay, is 0. Sine of pi halves is 1. Sine of pi is 0. Sine of 3 halves pi. Oops, made a mistake there. Should be 3 halves. Okay, 1.5 pi. You're at the bottom of the unit circle there. And so it's -1. Sine of 3 halves pi is -1. And then sine of 2 pi is 0. And then you sketch. And you sketch the sine wave. Notice how fast that was. Okay. Now, I'm teaching as I'm doing this here, so I'm usually much faster, like twice the speed or half the time when I do this by myself. So just keep that in mind. This is you people that know what they're doing here can do this in like 1 to 2 minutes max. Okay? The domain or the input, remember this is the input or the angle. Okay? There's no restrictions. All reals, theta can be anything. When I say theta, I mean x. X is the input. The output is the range, y values. And I switch from theta to x here because we're dealing with the x and y axes. That's all. That's the only reason why I switch variables. So instead of writing it y equals cosine theta, I use y equals cosine x, the same thing. Because we're on the x and y axes, right? Okay. And the cosine has the same range. So from -1 to 1. Or you can write it using inequalities. The y values are always go from -1 to 1 inclusively, which means you include the endpoints. That's why it's closed brackets, okay, as opposed to open. Okay. Now you scale the axes again. So 1 here, -1 here. Go out 8 units. Label it 2 pi. Half of 2 pi is pi. Half of pi is pi halves. So you go 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves. So 3 pi halves. And then you graph. So cosine of 0 is not 0, it's 1. So you start here at 1 unit up on the y-axis, because this function has an amplitude of 1, which I haven't talked about yet. And then the cosine of pi halves is 0. Cosine of pi is -1. Cosine of 3 pi is 0. Cosine of 2 pi is 1. And then you sketch. Okay. And that's it. So the mastery is done. So notice it's very, very quick. And then other questions later on that you have to be good at here too is like knowing where it's increasing and decreasing. So I'm just going to add to this just for funsies here. So from 0 to pi halves, okay, the sine function is increasing. So I and C is increasing. And then, so that's from 0 to pi halves. And then it starts decreasing. So here it starts decreasing, DEC. Decreasing from pi halves to all the way to the 3 halves pi. So from here to here, it's decreasing. So it starts off from 0 to pi halves, it's increasing, and then it's decreasing. And then here, between 3 halves pi and 2 pi, it's increasing again because it's going up as opposed to down, right? The y values are getting bigger. All right, now on the cosine function, it's different, right? So here, the cosine from 0, let's say 0 to pi now. So you're from 0 to pi, it's decreasing. So in this interval, it's decreasing, and then it's increasing. So then it goes up. So from pi to 2 pi, in this next interval right here, from pi to 2 pi, it's going up, so it's increasing. So those are questions that are going to be asked too, so make sure you understand that as well. In fact, that should be part of the mastery, you know what I mean? I should include that. I'm going to have to rewrite the mastery and include that in there because that was cool. Okay, this is Aynesworth. I'll see you in my next one. The third one, Mastery 3, which is evaluating expressions. Talk to you then.